Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of Council of December 17th. It being 7 p.m., I'll call the meeting to order. Council, we have the agenda in front of us, the second revised agenda, adding items 5.2 and 5.8. I look if there are any concerns or conflicts and turn it over to Councilor Inkster. Wrong table.
We moved locations, yeah. Is there any appetite for moving 5.2 and 5.3 up the agenda? And now I don't know what the revised agenda is because I have an original one. But what I see as 5.2 and 5.3 is council review of BC Housing Project, notice of motion, conditional support for supported housing. That's my 5.2 and 5.3. So that would be my intention to move those up to be,
Right.
to move the others down because it can't go as 4.1 because it's not a delegation. So,
Well, 4.1 is a delegation.
yeah.
And that follows right after that with 5.1. So those go together, I believe.
Okay, could we just reverse the order? To have the big item that is of concern to people first on the agenda, could we do that?
Well, I hope everything is of concern to the members, but council, I'm in your hands. Yeah. Yeah. Is that okay? All right. Well, and Councilor Rowe, in terms of conflicts, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Henderson. This hasn't been a easy thing for me to come to a decision on, and it's taken me a couple weeks just to see how this whole conversation with BC Housing and communication went. But I'm feeling that the waters are pretty muddy right now, and just in conversations that I've had with the public in various coffee shops and while I'm grocery shopping and in our email and at my work site, that a couple of things are clear to me. One is that it's becoming very difficult for people to differentiate between the two projects, and the fact that Vancouver Coastal Health is only involved in one project. And so it's getting more difficult to separate the two. And I think it's for some people that know me and my work life here, it's hard for them to separate me as a VCH employee. So I am going to declare a conflict on this item, since we are being asked to identify a degree of support that could lead to decisions that could either benefit or harm my employer. I totally understand the community wanting to know where we stand, if you will, even though it's not an actual decision that we're being asked to make tonight. So I just wanted to explain myself a little bit. So thank you for that opportunity. I will be recusing myself from 5.3.
5.3 and 5.4, or just 5.3?
Oh God, which is 5.4? I'm not sure which agenda I have.
5.3 is the council review of the BC Housing.
Oh, yeah, then it's 5.4. 5.3 is just information coming to us. It's
Right.
public. I don't need to recuse myself from that. It's 5.4 that is requiring some discussion about where we are in the scale of support, if you will. So 5.4, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any concerns? You can hear us, Councillor Toth. Just checking. Good, thank you. Okay, with that, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda, which includes items 5.1 to 5.8, plus everything else. And second, all in favor? We're adopted.
I'm opposed.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted those two first.
Yep.
They're important. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to up front, or delegation from Silverstone Heights. And I believe we have Mr. Sangera on the line and Ms. Coca. Welcome. And if you just press the microphone button and
Then I-
pull it towards you a bit.
Everybody can hear me all right, even online? Wonderful. And this is going to advance my slides.
Point it, Maggie, that way. You point it there.
That way, all right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to present. My name is Maggie Coca. I work for a company called Applin and Martin, and we are the agents for the OCP amendment that has been before council for the Silverstone project. Also have on the line Davey Sangera. He's with Gray Point Properties. They are the owner of the project. And so this evening, we wanted to take this opportunity to do an overview of the OCP amendment itself, clarify where some of the triggers were with regards to the OCP amendment, and explain sort of the legal requirements in around the project as well. See if this works. There we go. So first, I just wanted to do a quick history just to ensure that everybody had a similar understanding. The project originally started with phase 1 that you can see on the plan on the screen back in 2005, and we refer to that as the waterfront subdivision. Over the past 20 years, the project has gone through a variety of different approval processes. The first was the lands north of the highway, which you can see outlined in black, received an OCP plan approval in July 2011. Since that time, there's been 2 single-family subdivisions, and then most recently, the care home. The OCP amendment provided trails, multi-use paths, active transportation. It provided green space. Of the 35 acres that has developed to date, which you can see shaded in, there has been, let me turn my page, dedication of parks of about 16.6% of that developable area. And when you include the 15-meter buffer that is on the east side of the project, it actually jumps to almost 21% of the developable area in those 4 phases to date. Also, what has happened since the beginning of the project is there's been infrastructure upgrades. Within the site, of course, there's been storm, water, sanitary, and roadways that have been improved, but the project's also done off-site infrastructure improvements, namely on the west side, Derby Road all the way out to Norwest Bay Road. And actually, prior to the past 20 years, they also facilitated the realignment of Norwest Bay Road with the highway, with a bit of a land swap that took place there. So that's a short history. The reason that we're here today and the reason that an OCP amendment was being proposed is that back in 2022, there was 2 development applications that were brought forward. One for a cluster designation, which is illustrated with the blue star on the map. The second was a townhouse site, which is the red star on the map. Both of these applications back in 2022 complied with the existing OCP. And they were to be built along infrastructure that had already been constructed previously. It wasn't necessarily triggering any more frontage improvements, pipe upgrades for sanitary or storm or water. It really was just sort of continuing on with what they had already completed. But there was a legal requirement that was registered on the property. That restrictive covenant required a master development agreement. The master development agreement goes back to the OCP approval that was done in 2011. It required an understanding of sort of the sequencing that would take place. But back in 2011, understanding sort of where the market absorption would go, where the housing needs were for Sechelt were a bit unknown. And so the first 2, and I'll go back here for a minute, if I can. Whoops, too far. Number 2 and number 3 were allowed to proceed to sort of start understanding how that would sort of fit into the community. And the restrictive covenant was used to ensure that it would get triggered at the appropriate time. The care facility, number 4 on the map, was also allowed to proceed given the community benefit. And so the 2 applications that were submitted in 2022 really were triggering that master development agreement. The interesting piece, though, is the master development agreement needs an OCP as the foundation. And as you can imagine, lots has changed since 2011. And so the reason that an OCP amendment was triggered because of those 2 development applications was, 1, the province brought in Bill 44 and 46. Seashelt, of course, completed their community land development analysis, also completed your housing needs assessment, and we're actively working on your transportation plan. And so it didn't make a lot of sense to enter into a master development agreement based on an OCP that likely needed some upgrades. And so we proposed an OCP amendment. And so you can see on this slide that we have upgraded the land uses. On the left, of course, is the existing OCP. On the right is what is before you as an amendment. The main change from a land use perspective is more townhouse designation has been incorporated, and that's really to address the housing needs assessment completed by Seashelt. Really trying to address that missing middle, right? Trying to create housing supply that is open to all to be able to access. There's also an expansion of the parks, really reflecting from a wildlife perspective. So I want to take a minute now and just sort of walk through some of the transportation changes. And this is really sort of triggered from the last time we came before you. I think there was a little bit of, well, what changed? And so you can see, again, March 2025, which was when we originally got second reading on the OCP amendment, to when we came back in October to see you again. The main change really is that Tyler Road has shifted to the north. And I'm thinking there's a pointer on here. Maybe I'm wrong. There we go. So Tyler came down like this in the previous plan in March. Tyler is now shifted to the north. This little bulb here that looks a bit odd on the plan is because this is a piece of Derby Road that was already previously dedicated when this phase was completed. And so it actually pulls up and still connects up here. And then of course, Oracle just aligns up with it. The general land uses have not changed between March and October. You can also see, again, and I'm sorry if this is a, whoops, hold on. I'm changing slides when I don't mean to. This is the existing OCP, and you can see that the active transportation components have been greatly upgraded in the OCP amendment that was brought forward in October, in which we received second reading on. And then just an overview of all the transportation components. We wanted to really emphasize what has changed in this piece so that there was a clear understanding as the application continued to move forward. So the studies that have been completed to date within this current OCP amendment is environmental studies. That's beyond just watercourses. That also included wildlife. You'll see that there's actually been a wildlife corridor incorporated within the site. And that was based on actual field assessment, hiring biologists and wildlife professionals to go out and sort of track, look for evidence of where animals are moving throughout the site, particularly along the north. We've also completed a slope analysis, archaeological studies. We've completed a stormwater management plan for the area. It's an update from what was previously done in 2011, and then geotechnical and hydrological studies. And you can really see in the parks and trails plan the improvements that have been made to the OCP designations in what is being proposed in front of you today. And so the plan that's been brought forth complies with not only the municipal requirements and the work that you've done since 2011, it also complies with the provincial legislation. It greatly improves the environmental and sensitive ecosystems in the area. It interacts and improves on transportation connectivity. It continues a long history of community amenity contributions within the site and supports a more complete sort of walkable neighborhood in this area. I also wanted to just add in the conclusion that we did some assessment to understand what the absorption has been in the 20-year history in which Silverstone has been here. And so I'll just flip to where I have my stats. So from 2005 to 2025, 116 lots have sold in Silverstone. That's on average about 5.8 lots a year. Given these absorption rates, over the next 20 years, you'll just see buildings built in around Derby that has been on existing infrastructure that's there. So if there's large swaths of Derby Road that have not been built as of yet, as in development on both sides, it'll take 20 plus years to even see that build out based on these absorption rates. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Coca. Okay, I think any questions of the delegation? We have Mr. Hall coming with his report. So, Councillor McLaughlin,
Oh,
do you want to, are you waiting for the,
questions
we're going to have,
on the item or just let the delegation go through and then?
the delegation is finished. So if you have a point of clarification for her, we could talk
Well,
about
I
that.
guess I was trying to, yeah, thank you through the chair. Again, reiterate with the plan you have there, how many units or
Sorry, that-
what's the population?
So that's for, I think that's for staff.
Well,
Yeah.
it's their report.
No, I believe something that's been presented. Is there anything you need to clarify of what's
Well,
been
that was what I'd like
presented?
to clarify.
Okay, let's leave it for Mr. Hall. I think he'll be ready to answer that. Okay. Which reminds me too, Council, we have a very long agenda, so if we can keep our questions focused and targeted on the specifics. But Ms. Coca, thank you very much. Yep. And Mr. Hall, I guess we'll go to item 5.1 where Councilor McLaughlin will have a question shortly. So council with the amendment, the amendments don't impact this one. We're on page 6 and forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. So I'll be brief. I mean, this is really just an information report. There's no bylaw for readings. That's already been done. We wanted to bring back a revised package from the applicant, just kind of summarizing the whole approach and a lot of the kind of details and things that have been done by the applicants related to the OCP amendment and the sort of the master land use planning that's been done in advance of, scheduling a public hearing for next year. So previously, a couple months ago, we brought the bylaw, the OCP amendment bylaw back for a second reading again with those revisions that we've kind of talked about, some little shifts here and there, and a lot of it informed by transportation-related updates. And so the council gave its second reading and endorsed scheduling a public hearing, which would again happen in early 2026. So this is really just providing some additional information for council and ultimately the public in advance of that public hearing. And following the public hearing, obviously a report back to council on both the public hearing and then considering some rezoning conditions for council to endorse or not related to moving the whole OCP amendment forward.
Great. Brief, as you promised. Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin.
Okay, through the chair, I was wondering, with especially the addition of the apartment zoning, what would be the number of units and population of this area?
I mean, I guess as part of the OCP amendment, we did a little while ago, removing units per hectare from the OCP and focusing solely on floor area ratio. I guess the OCP itself is not really concerned with numbers of units anymore. Obviously, there is a big change for the areas in yellow that were identified on the map that are currently residential in the OCP, the change to the orange, which is the multifamily mixed residential designation. It certainly is a higher density designation. The residential land use contemplates everything from single family to the duplex, triplex, quadplex, and sort of limited row house, townhouse. Going to the multifamily mixed residential allows a greater density of those types of housing forms, but also opens the door to apartment buildings. So that's certainly the biggest change that would be an option now under the OCP across those areas designated multifamily mixed residential. So I think going back to 2011, I mean, this area has already kind of been contemplated for, several thousand people in terms of population. So that would remain probably even more than that now, potentially, with the higher density land uses. But we don't have specific numbers, but yes, in general, a higher density, higher population would be anticipated for this area over time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McLaughlin?
Further to that, I think we do have some loose references to left still in our zoning bylaw or SMU zoning for units per hectare. So they are kind of a good rule of thumb to follow. And I just did a quick assessment myself with land use areas here. And I would say that you'd probably be looking at about 3,000 units in the multifamily housing. So that would be perhaps as many as 6,000 people. Okay. And then as we have now with the small single family lots, we've seen it come here where a small 350 meter squared lot with a house on it can be a fourplex. We've seen it come to here and it's happened. So that could be like another
Councillor McLaughlin?
1,000 or
please
so
speak to
units.
us.
So, we could be looking at 8,000 units just with this. And that's almost like building another sea shelter. Included as well, I would like to see the surrounding large lots, which are also owned by somebody, but will be eventually part of this neighborhood. So that's why I was calling for a neighborhood plan. I would like to know if we look at, it might be a worst case scenario density, but I think we need to think about the space in this plan. I mean, it's fine for the owner to come forward with their proposal, but in the end, it's the land of the district of Sechelt in terms of the investment we've had, in terms of being part of this community. So that's why I was hoping that they would consider having perhaps a school, if there's probably going to be kids
Okay,
there.
Councillor McLaughlin, so.
Yeah, so
the-
I think also I am concerned about the process here where
Okay,
this report has been added to this agenda, but it was not provided earlier as part of the agenda. So no one has really had the chance to review it. And so it kind of backs up the master
No.
plan, which was just a plan, a drawing.
we received this report in our agenda
Yeah,
on Friday, which is our normal procedure.
yeah, but we also considered it for previous readings without any report. So
Okay,
in
so,
terms of viewing it as a master plan or a neighborhood plan, I don't think that's fair to the neighborhood, especially given the amount of units and population it's going to include. So personally, I would like to make a motion that this plan and this item be referred back to the planning department for consideration and part of our overall zoning or OCP review process. And also to have a look at the restricted covenant that is on this property
so
now. I do not want to see
Councillor,
it waived.
so a motion,
Yeah.
your motion is to refer it back to the planning
Yeah.
department for,
Or to be included in our OCP review instead of approved now. And also the
Right.
second part,
Approving.
have, to have the covenant reviewed, just as due diligence to make sure that everything has proceeded legally before we remove the covenant, because
don't, no, just give us the motion.
That's
So
the motion.
before we discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay, so two-part motion. Is there a seconder?
No.
Okay, the motion dies. Thank you. Other questions and comments? If not, Please, Counselor Inkster.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that the motion didn't meet my test. The questions I would ask though is as presented, I just want to ask through you to staff that's here. I like the affordability pieces that are being presented here. If in fact we're talking now about, because it wasn't clear to me before, about larger buildings like apartments, I would hope, and we'll see when that happens, I would hope that they're further back on the plans so that they don't block any water views that
Views,
people may have.
okay.
Yeah, so that's really important to me, that they don't block water views and that the smaller housing is closer to the water and closer to Cowrie Street, as we call it. That's just a thought that I have, and it's important to me. The other thought I would have is the connectivity that I was hoping to ask the presenter, but I'll ask staff. Of course, it's going to public hearing, but the connectivity, the roads, the road network, there's a reliability back to Derby. I have some concerns that unless we do it right, everyone's going to go down Cowrie. And we know that Cowrie is,
So what is
yeah.
the connection?
Yeah, and if you want to do it that way, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll ask a question about the other networks, sure. The connectivity, it says Derby, but Cowrie people will use, we got to figure that out because that's a really narrow street. So just
Yep.
through you, yeah.
All right. You able to offer any insights, staff? Mr. Hall?
And I guess there's a couple things. I mean, one, certainly part of the covenant is getting at timing of dedications, that road dedications, park dedications, and that's something that still needs to be worked on. So we can go to public hearing, we can get feedback on the OCP amendment, but when we come back to council, that'll be something for us to present information for council to consider in terms of what kind of rezoning conditions, what's in the covenant, and getting at the timing of some of those road dedications and the park dedications. Now, the applicants to rezoning applications, the cluster housing and the townhouse application on either side of the trellis facility, obviously they're wanting to move those forward subsequent to the OCP amendment. So there's certainly road dedications and probably even some of the park dedication that could be tied directly to moving those forward because it's adjacent to them. So there's some big pieces there that would happen as part of those rezoning applications, but we can get into timing of some of the other pieces too, because obviously there's road dedications going all the way up to the north end of the property. So that's
Right.
something we would get into. In terms of other connections to beyond Cowrie, I mean, that's part of the work that staff have been doing, primarily engineering, in terms of looking at this larger road network that we previously presented to council on, in terms of we've got this area, we've got obviously the neighboring lands to the east between these properties and the Seashield Village. Then you've got properties sort of in the Reef Road Trail, Cook Creek area. There's sort of three areas that are all kind of in this larger area that has challenges with north, south, east, west connectivity. In terms of the timing of when we could have an additional east-west connection, I mean, we could maybe get into some of that as part of this application, but there's no firm or easy route that is just going to materialize. I mean, we've talked about connections from Derby to Medusa and Anchor in some fashion. But again, in terms of actual timing.
So it's fair to say you consider it a bit premature to have this conversation. And I should remind council that this is only here for us to receive the land use plan, not to get into the details of the zoning or the rollout. I think, is that fair? Yeah. So in terms of the business before us today, it's really, are we, on page 6, are we ready to receive and for us to consider prior to the public hearing, the Swarney land use plan? That make sense?
Well, if you're asking me, the presentation would behoove council to ask questions on the presentation by staff and by the consultant. So if I could ask my second question, that would be
Please.
great. Thanks. So the road connectivity is an issue that I mentioned, and I'm looking forward to a good plan. I was going to ask about the green space. I'm glad to see more green space. And I had heard in the presentation previous that there was some connectivity. But just once again, I asked for you to staff and perhaps a consultant in their next speeches to council that they explain if there's green space and if there's a trail network from where to where. I.e., what does it connect to? Does it connect to a trail system that we have in existence so that when we can connect to the downtown core and West Sechelt so we can try to get people off the road? So are the trails just hanging trails or are they connective trails to downtown and West Sechelt? Thanks.
Thank you. There is I did see some renderings later on in the report, but somebody's standing up. Ms. Coca, did you want to? You will need to use the microphone because two counselors are on Zoom.
So the green space and active transportation network connects through to any pathways within this, your existing pathway system beyond the site. And where there is gaps, it connects back into road right-of-ways and multi-use paths. So it is all connected together throughout the plan.
Very good. Thank you. And help her stand up now.
Yeah. I would just add to that, I guess, to Councillor Inkster's point, I guess the biggest challenge to connectivity is there's another property owner in between this property and the rest of the village. So obviously the district is looking at connectivity across all of these properties, and that's a key objective for us. But in terms of implementing that, there's obviously things we can do within these two properties, but connecting them across another property owner who's not currently doing anything development wise is the next challenge.
Right.
I'm assuming then with the existing property that hasn't been designated and or planned that that planning staff will forward look and potentially in terms of rights of way and access that doesn't infringe on the property owner, but makes it planned to the downtown core, as I'm assuming. Okay,
I
thanks.
think so. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Counselor Shepherd.
I'll move the recommendation on page 6.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Counselor Bell. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Counselor McLaughlin is opposed and the motion carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you, Ms. Coca. Council will then go to page 41, which is on our revised agenda, and this is the stormwater outfall emergency works on Gale Avenue North. We have Ms. Lee's report. Is there anything you want to add or?
Yeah, thank you. I just summarized the report. Last Thursday, we became aware of this outfall failure. It is very much an emergency to have this water put back into a pipe and made safe until we can get a design in place. So we're taking all actions we can right now to stabilize this area, but of course need funding to do that. So that's what this report is asking. Thanks.
Thank you. Council, you've seen the report. And it's really about where are we going to get the money, because I mean, it seems that we don't have a choice. We have to fix our infrastructure. Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, thanks through the chair. I'm just wondering, obviously, I'm going to be supporting this. We have to, it's an emergency repair. We have to do it. I'm just wondering, we were going through the budget process this morning, first run for 2026, and we're seeing asset management reports for all of our hard infrastructure. Was there any indication this was going to fail? Was it showing as end of life?
So
Thanks.
yeah, so I can speak to that a little bit. The era of this type of stormwater infrastructure was all corrugated steel pipes, and their longevity just wasn't what was anticipated to be in the 80s and 90s when they were put into place. So we're seeing them regularly fail across municipalities, and so that was the nature of this pipe. It was a steel pipe that just didn't have the life expectancy it probably originally did. And we do have a number of these around the district. So we're working through, as was discussed earlier, identifying their locations and their condition, and you will see them in the budget in coming years for replacement. We didn't know this particular pipe was as close to failure as it was, but it'd be part of a cammering program for some of these that can't be visually inspected. The issue that with this one being, it's a very long pipe going through kind of between two homes, so it can't be easily visually inspected. It needs to be cameraed, so we weren't aware of it until now. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's something just to anchor that it wasn't an imminent risk of failure, but it's a signal that we've got a lot of work to do in the next few years to catch up. Councillor Inkster, and thank you, Councillor Inkster.
So this is, we've heard about this. And so it's good to see that it needs to be done. It's good to see that comes from capital reserves that we've diligently put aside and doesn't come from taxation. So that's all good. Get it done, capital reserves. Just a question though, do we know what the upslope from this property is? I just wonder when this happens with water runoff that it's treeless or there's less trees. It's one of my concerns
Okay.
with climate change, that people are cutting down trees on our slopes and it's causing water runoff. I don't know if staff can answer that. I can certainly go look, but it's always a concern of mine. Don't cut down trees unless you really need to, because it could cause these kinds of problems. I'm wondering if staff can answer that, what the upslope looks like, because it doesn't look like it's designated as a lot. It just looks like unbuilt. So I was asking, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I mean, this is an underground pipe, outfall pipe, so it's not like a creek that might be washed away by a landslide or a tree. So,
Yeah, you can still get water that undermines based on the treeless slope. So that's what I was asking.
okay,
The volume of water can do that. Thanks.
okay,
Yeah.
Ms. Lee?
Yeah, thank you for the question through the chair. So the upslope catchment area for this particular outfall is the Rimrock Road area in Connecticut Park. There's been a minor amount of development there, but nothing significant. The cause of failure for this pipe is certainly the pipe itself. So the pipe is both corroded, it has a number of holes in it, and it's actually joint separated. So there's actually the two pipe segments are pulled apart. And that's what's causing most of the water to escape and cause the void spaces. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bell, I see your microphone. Yeah, please.
I mean, this is an emergency, so I'm going to make the motion that
Okay.
that we approve the funding
Okay, on
for up
page
to
41.
350,000 to
Right.
be funded from the general capital reserve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering, in this location, what are the hazards? Is there a hazard area there in terms of the
Councillor
soils?
McLaughlin, please.
So, because if there is, it might be worth trying to relocate it in a different location. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, I'll just say this is about fixing it right now. I think we heard in the report, there's a follow-up to make a permanent repair. So perhaps rather than asking staff to speculate today, they've heard your point. But we got to fix it. How soon can this be done, do you think?
Yeah, thank you. So we've engaged a contractor already, and we've got equipment coming in to start pumping the water as early as next week. And the pipe replacement, or the temporary pipe, we're hoping to be in place by middle of January.
So we've got, it's a month.
If we start work right away, yeah,
Yep.
it's 3 weeks to a month. It's unfortunately over the
No.
Christmas period, but it's the
Okay.
nature of it.
Right. And you've heard Councillor McLaughlin's
Yes.
comments about any potential improvement.
Certainly, yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't see anything else. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, council, with that, we will go to item 5.3 on page 44. And this is the BC Housing summary of their December 2nd open house. Council, it's before us for receipt, and I suppose any comments? There's no a particular business item associated with this. We'll get into that, I think, in the next segment. Councillor Shepherd?
To the chair, this is sort of a preliminary report, I assume, that they were trying to submit or collate all of the feedback that they got, but I assume that's coming in probably obviously in January.
Good question. Can somebody help us with that? Ms. Roberts or Mr. Yates? No?
Yep, thank you for the question through the chair. They haven't committed to a date. They just asked for more time. So they, as you'll note in the correspondence, they are looking at various things based on the feedback they received at the open house, and would like to just a bit more time to report back. But I can certainly ask them for at least an approximate timeline.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
I think well, we may get into that in a few minutes of things that will trigger other conversations with them as well. So, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, just, it's a very, very brief report, but just to obviously highlight some points, at high level, the themes we heard from community thus far, because Councillor Shepherd is hoping for an additional, is questions about site selection and concerns about concentration of services. Questions and comments about issues around the existing supportive housing and shelter. And questions and comments about existing supports and services, including demands for more mental health and substance use services. Requests for more seniors housing and services for local seniors. So those are good. I mean, it's a consistency from what this council's been hearing over the last number of weeks. So I'm glad that they have that in their report because it's pretty clear to them what the concerns are. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anything from our virtual land councillors? Okay,
No,
Councillor Rowe?
yeah, I'll just say that I think a positive nugget that comes out of that report is the expanded engagement that they're asking Happy Cities to do. That wasn't the case at the very start of this, and so I think we as a community need to be thinking about that and what that is going to look like and how we can be engaged in many, many levels throughout that process. I hear good things about Happy Cities, and they have spoken to a local liaison so that that person will make sure that people's voices are heard. So I'm taking that as a positive outcome from this preliminary report anyways. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll take it as received for information. Okay, and if so, we'll move on and excuse Councillor Rowe. We'll go to page 47, which is the notice of motion from Councillors Toth and Shepherd. Decision on support for supportive housing in Sechelt.
Can I just ask, does somebody kick me out or something, or do I have to go out and somebody text me and I come back in?
Well, I was pondering that. It's a public meeting, so I think you can.
Should I just leave and come back?
Ms. Folson.
We can also place Councillor Rowe in a waiting room, a virtual waiting room.
Put me in the waiting room. Thank you.
Wait, have a nice wait.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Toth, perhaps we go to you first.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the notice of motion that's here tonight is really not intended as a let's adopt the block of recommendations. It's really intended as a sort of a framework for us to go through and decide whether we're, unconditionally supportive, unconditionally opposed, whether we even want to take a position at this time. Those are sort of the other options that are on the second page. Or if we do want to be conditionally supportive or conditionally opposed, subject to, we want to see some improvements and we want to see some things from BC Housing that would be meaningful. I do want, I know the gallery's full today, and I know we've got a bunch of people online. Council is hearing the community. I know sometimes it may not seem like we are, but we are. And so I think, a lot of the items that are in here come from conversations that some of us have had with community, some of the things we've heard from community, and even just, some of the things that, honestly, a couple of these I thought, hey, this might be a great idea. And so the way I see us moving forward is sort of to decide right out of the gate if we are unconditionally supportive or opposed, or if we're conditionally supportive or opposed. And if we are conditionally supportive or conditionally opposed, that we would then go through C through K, sort of one at a time, and we would debate and adopt each one as sort of part of our council position. And then recommendations 2, 3, 4, and 5 are sort of adjacent to, but not directly related to the sites themselves. And so they're listed as subsequent recommendations. So from that perspective, Councillor Shepherd and I sort of submitted nearly identical notice of motions, and so we worked over a weekend to get them aligned so that we could have it as a single document. I don't know if there's anything Councillor Shepherd wants to add.
No, just, I'll speak to, obviously, I'm going to be speaking to B, which is where I want council to be going. And I think Councillor Toth started out with A. So is that fair?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Shepherd. And it got stuck in the title for the notice of motion. So I am interested in us looking at this through a positive lens, and that's why I would be interested in being conditionally supportive. It's really easy to be negative in today's society. I don't think it serves anybody very well.
Okay, thank you. So this is complex. How to proceed? Do anybody want to offer some comments or some insights first, or do we try to get to a particular motion? Councillor Inkster.
Thank you. I look at A more than B, but in saying that, there's a number of conditions that we would vote on and lay out. It's an interesting approach, but I would look at A with a number of the conditions that may make it difficult to support without those conditions being met. So perhaps if I didn't know Councillor Shepherd, I thought Councillor Shepherd just putting in, they were worked together to put A and B there, although it's confusing, just to give some choice. But I would prefer to start down the A road, or 1 or 2, as I call it, and then go and then add and then vote on C, D, E, F. That's how I would proceed, unless somebody wants to pull particular ones for further discussion. Thanks.
Okay, so you're signaling you're more towards A.
Yeah.
But okay. How about Councillor Shepherd, yes, please. Yeah, I think the first major decision that council has to make in forming a position is to choose either A or B. I'm going to argue for B. So if council doesn't mind, I'll just take a couple of minutes to explain why I chose that position to start out at. Coming. All right. Thanks. I think what I want to try and convince council to do is to reject the proposal that BC Housing have put forward. Now, when I say that,
I am not trying to get council to oppose the supportive housing and the complex facility that they're suggesting, because the data which we have to make the decision on already indicates that the Sunshine Coast needs these facilities. We have these people already here who need them. So I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that the data proves that. What I'm saying is not enough data analysis has been done yet, because there's a lot of other impacts on residents that hasn't been sort of formally shown. So in general, in proposing B, I'm asking you to consider saying no to the proposal. We put a moratorium of sorts, ask BC Housing not to proceed with their applications for 3 to 6 months. Then council sits with the community and we develop a counter proposal. Because in the end, what Councillor Toth and I want, we're starting from different positions, but we want the same thing, which is these facilities on the Sunshine Coast, but other aspects or impacts of these facilities taken into account. So I'm asking you at least for as a starting position, say no to BC Housing. Let us regroup here for sort of 3 to 6 months and come back with a more specific proposal to BC Housing where we're saying, yeah, we can locate these facilities. Here's where the complex housing is going to go. Here's where the supportive housing is going to go. But by the way, we may want to use what you've bought for other types of, whether it's workforce housing, seniors housing. That's actually the easy piece.
Well, no, thank you. Okay. Folks, what we need, I need you to respect the process of council. So I appreciate you letting us amongst ourselves.
Yeah, sorry, it's really hard for me to follow through. But what I'm trying to say is that's the very easy piece. Like we all know that that's needed in the community. The really difficult piece, but I'm sure that council and the community can do this, is come back to BC Housing with specifics. This is where it's going to go. This is where the supportive housing is going to go. That is going to be the really tough part, because all of council has been speaking with BC Housing as they've gone through this process. I'm really convinced sincerely that they did try to look at other locations, these 30, 35 other locations. They've tried not to place them there. The only thing I suspect though is why are we on such a tight time frame? Why does this has to happen so quickly? So that's why I'm asking you to consider starting with B, and then we'll sort of develop it further. And I'll just finish with one last point. There's one other stakeholder here where we really need them to come to the table, and that's VCH. We don't know what's happening with Totem and Shorncliffe. And those are large pieces of the answer to the problem we're trying to solve that we need to have them come forward with. And they're just not there yet. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Council, who wants to go next? Anybody? Because I'll jump in, and I certainly thank you. I'll finish what I was going to say. I think the issue in this is location between A and B. It's both relate to we could be conditionally supportive, but not in that location, or conditionally opposed in the location, which is essentially, I think, what you're saying in B.
Yes, that's true. But I want to emphasize, I think council should start out by saying no, because I think BC Housing are on a train here to deliver these facilities at those two locations. And we need to somehow stop them and get consideration for other options from them.
Yep.
Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yes, through the chair. We've been looking at these every which way, right? And I've been thinking about a lot. So this is how I look at it, is that, you know, they have a certain amount of money. They have an objective to provide all kinds of social housing, complex care, supported housing for seniors, for people that are homeless. And the idea, especially in terms of the homeless that we have in the encampment, is that they need housing first. They won't get better without housing. So I don't know, I know people relate crime, but the fact is, you know, you're much less likely to do crime, I think, if you aren't sleeping in a tent outside in the winter. So I look at that, even though I live in the village, I know, you know, I feel sorry that some people have been traumatized, definitely, by the homeless growth. But I think BC Housing has a mandate. They're trying to help. And I'm a little afraid if we don't work with them in a positive way, say we're supportive, but we have all these things to look at, that they may just take their funding and go elsewhere. And okay.
Folks, please,
Yep.
please. I'm gonna, no, I'm sorry, I'm not, we can't have that. Okay, I'll have to clear the room if we have that. Okay, please just, you have your opportunity to ask us questions at the end, but I cannot allow that. Thank
And-
you.
And I just fear that would mean more encampments, more crime, more issues. It's very hard to get a handle on it. And I don't want to see that. I really would like to see people housed. And then once we get to dealing with the people with the highest need, which, you know, look around, I think we can see who they are. You may not like them that much, but there they are. They're still Canadians. They still have rights. And I think even being drug addicted now is considered a disability. So if you say, well, I wouldn't want to house those people because they're drug addicted, well, think about, okay, it's almost sounds discriminatory at this point. We have to deal with everybody. We have to be fair. So I think if we get some housing for these people, we get BC Housing talking to us about all the spectrum of housing we want. Maybe we should be using our OCP and saying, where do we want housing for seniors? Where do we want supportive housing? We haven't got that anywhere. This is like even this Silverstone development. Why don't we have in there supportive housing? And it's kind of like it came upon us. It's kind of our own fault because we haven't really planned for where to put this. So I'm hoping we're going to probably need more housing, more supportive housing. The cost of living is high. The cost of housing is high. We need housing for workers. We need supportive housing for seniors. We have a lot, you know, more and more seniors that need to be in care. So we need to have a supportive relationship with BC Housing.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Councillor Tough?
Thank you, Chair. I guess my comments on this are, we need to look at the fact that for better or worse, these are the properties that BC Housing has purchased. We don't know how far they could pivot with the use of these properties. Were they purchased with funds that are specifically designated for complex care and supportive housing property acquisition in the province? We actually don't know that right now. And so, you know, I'm looking at it from the, okay, let's assume that this is going to need to be developed and worked on because this is the property they bought. I don't agree that they should be built here, but this is the property that's been bought. And so when I consider, you know, the point in time count that was done that identified, you know, 30% or 29% of our homeless population is senior citizens. When we talk about people that have been here for either their whole lives or a very significant amount of time, I think that's where we have the ability to sort of apply some pressure and some leverage to say, okay, if we're going to build supportive housing, let's, focus on our seniors because they are our most vulnerable homeless population. And, if we can pressure them to designate most or all of the building as a dry facility, I mean, between those two conditions, you're talking about a, residential apartment building full of seniors. And so I want us to be very careful about how we discuss the other sort of conditions for support or, to change our mind from opposition. Because I think BC Housing, what I heard, in that report right before this, the communications and engagement update, is that they are willing to pause. They are willing to take the time to make sure that they are listening. I have to believe that. I'm not that pessimistic. And I think we need to sort of try and find a way to meet them partway. We don't know that BC Housing has millions of dollars more available to purchase another lot in Sandy Hook or Wilson Creek or wherever we might find alternative locations. So I think it's incumbent upon us to try and get the best product we can for these properties out of BC Housing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd certainly agree with that comment. We want to get the best use of that. Councillor Bell, were you
Yeah.
ready, please? Your microphone, please. Councillor Bell, your microphone.
Sorry, I'm curious. So Councillor Shepherd, you have a motion that says you're conditionally opposed of the BC Housing proposals as identified for Ebb Tide Avenue and High Tide Avenue. And yet, you follow up with saying that you want to have a series of conversations and engagement and so on with BC Housing. So my question is, as I look down from B and I look at one of the conditions, D says that a moratorium be imposed before BC Housing take any further action in proceeding with the development application on either property that has been purchased in such time as the community engagement in order to bring back to BC. So why are we?
Talk to me.
I don't understand why we're not looking at this as one, saying you're basically saying you don't want it.
Hang on.
This is
So,
challenging.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Confused by this.
Okay, because it's a joint notice of motion,
It's a
so.
joint notice of motion. I get that. But what I don't understand is that on one hand, Councillor Shepherd, you're saying that you're opposed to this, but yet on the other hand, you're saying that you want to have an engagement process, which I agree with the community. And yet that's what D states under.
Well, we haven't got to D yet.
Okay, so.
No, sorry, through the
Yeah.
chair. That's a very fair question, and I apologize for the confusion in this joint motion. I know it's confusing. But that's why I was asking for the vote on A versus B, because there is a fundamental of Councillor Toth's proposal, which is, yeah, let's just accept that the land is bought. Let's accept that those two facilities are going to go there. And I'm saying, no, don't, council, let's oppose that. Because I'm going to vote in favor of that, eventually in favor of that sort of condition that you've mentioned, D. Yes, we have to engage with them, but my comment would be, you've gone too far down the path there in accepting that that the land's being bought, the facilities have to go there. I think we have to sort of back it up and say, no, we're opposed to this. And then come back at them through this engagement process and say, but you can solve your problem, BC Housing, and here's the solution. Here's where those facilities should go. So I'm in favor of that. You're right. So I apologize for the confusion, but we're starting out at a very different position.
Okay, thank you. Does that help, Councillor Bell? Okay. Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, I'm more in favor of A, and I'm going to say why. I think that it's a positive move towards saying that we'd like BC Housing to do something with that land. The conditions that are laid that we will discuss and vote on, that's where I'm going to draw the line and the stipulations. And the ones that I vote on, I will be digging in on, because I think it's really important to get a number of those things in place. The other reason why I'm supporting A is basically my wish for that land is seniors housing. And I think we can only get there with a positive support of what they're doing with stipulations, which in the end may lead to only seniors housing. Because what I've been hearing in the community is there's concerns that we've identified here, and congrats to Shepherd and Toth for taking the leadership position to bring these pieces forward, to bring these stipulations forward for me to dig in on. Because I think in the end, if we work on this, the community is not comfortable. And what I've been hearing is they're not comfortable, and there's a lot of people not comfortable with the existing proposal. So I think we can move towards and/or negotiate towards seniors housing. I don't really see a number of the stipulations here. I just don't think they're going to meet them. I don't think it's going to work. And there's other considerations we should discuss, including a review of the existing operations, but that's another matter. So I'm A. Thank you.
Okay, before I go to Councillor Toth, I'm reading it. I read A and B to be the same, with the only difference being supportive or opposed. In other words, A reading conditionally supportive of the BC housing proposals as identified for ebb tide and high tide. And that's why I'm not supportive of A. I am supportive of the concept of getting some sort of facilities for the coast, but I'm absolutely not supportive of complex care and the supportive housing, as we've seen from the current supportive housing. It doesn't fit. Councillor Toth.
Thank you very much. In the name of getting something on the floor, I'm going to move that the District of Sechelt Council recognizes the need for supportive housing and complex care in our community, and is conditionally supportive of the BC housing proposals as identified for Ebb Tide Avenue and High Tide Avenue, and further that council support for these projects is contingent upon the following conditions being explored and meaningfully met.
Okay, so that's a motion with a hanging.
Well, okay, if it's easier from a process perspective, I will stop at High Tide Avenue. So we are conditionally supportive of the BC housing proposals as identified for Ebb Tide Avenue and High Tide Avenue.
Okay. Thank you. That's a motion. Is there a council second? No. No, is there a seconder?
It's conditions.
About
The wording.
okay.
Yeah. This may not be accepted to the mover and the introducer. I would prefer that it just said that the District of Sechelt Council recognizes the need for housing.
Well, okay, but I don't think that's what Councillor Toth's driving at.
I get it.
So, Councillor
get it.
Toth, your motion
Thanks.
is your motion is as you read it a minute ago. So let me see if there's a seconder first. Second, Councillor McLaughlin. Okay, so now we can discuss. Were you wanting to say something? No. Okay, so Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to vote against that. And my reasoning is, being the skeptic that I am, is that, I mean, these are very well-crafted conditions. I really admire how they're written out. I just, having seen how BC Housing has moved along here, and in fact, at one point, I remember asking Naomi Brunemeyer, once the letter was received from Catherine Leach, does that not give you room for pause given that those two facilities are so close to the social housing that's being finished and the problems that we're already having there. And she was incredibly forthright and said no. So that leads me to think that they've got one mission, which is to deliver those facilities to those locations. Now, yes, the Happy Cities recommendations, when they come through, may mitigate some of the problems that are already there, but I am just so reluctant to support this until we've been able to, that the community's been able to go back to BC Housing to say, hey, hold on, there are other options for this land that you've bought, just as you've mentioned, Councillor Inkster. We could put seniors housing here, and we could put the complex housing in, you know, in, I'm not going to say Davis Bay, but in another location. But widen your geographical, your conditions here. So that's why I'm saying, please don't vote for A, because it limits, I think it limits our negotiating power.
Good, thank you. Council?
Well, okay.
Donna?
So I am going to speak for A, and the reason I'm doing this is because I think this is an opportunity for us to move to these conditions and have a good conversation around this, whether these are possible or not. It may come to the fact that if we're not happy after we're basically shut down with a lot of these conditions, that we may go back to that I'm not supportive that in this particular location. But to be put in this position right now, for me, is that we've got months and months and months to go before this is even a done deal. It is a done deal that this is where it's going right now, but we still have an opportunity to be able to advocate and to continue to be able to have dialogue around this, using the community engagement piece and continuing with the support of the community that this is not what they want. If we go in and say no, that we don't want it in this location, I am not sure that that's the best. And this is from me, from my perspective, from a political perspective. We could just shut the door completely and they'll do it anyway. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to have dialogue, further dialogue. Where it goes, I don't know, but at this point in time, I'm looking at this as an opportunity for further dialogue, and this is not a done deal at this point in time, either way.
Thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I think Councillor Bell said it much more eloquently than I was even thinking it, because if we do submit, we are conditionally supportive and we've got, a list of things that our support is contingent upon, and BC Housing turns around and says, yeah, we're not interested. I mean, I think it would be fair to say that most of us will probably join the protest line. Like that's why we're here tonight, is to try and make the best of this situation as we possibly can. Should they have bought different property? Sure. But they didn't, and if we come back and tell them, go buy that property in Wilson Creek instead, I mean, do they have the funds? Like, how, if they've allocated a certain amount of money to Seashelt or to the Sunshine Coast, unless somebody's going to buy the property and donate it to them, I don't know that there's maneuvering room for them to acquire any other property. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah. So I guess, Chair, I was asking if in fact, and I'm not sure, I didn't hear it, is Councillor Toth not in favor of the district of Seashelt recognize the need for housing and is conditionally supportive with and for this council support for these projects is contingent upon the following conditions being explored and meaningful? Met?
That is not the motion.
I know, but I
Yeah.
was asking for, he could amend the motion as presented if he's supportive. That's just, I'm just trying to say that's what I'm supportive of, and because I
Right.
seconded it. If I don't want to narrow our choices to BC Housing. I think we could get housing, but it may be a different kind of housing for our community, and that's why I'm asking for that. It could be, yeah, with those
So,
conditions.
Okay, so you're procedurally, I think would be best if you made a motion to amend. See what council's support is for that.
Okay, because there's a motion on the table.
Yes, so if you would like to amend, move a motion to amend
Okay.
it.
So I'll make a motion to amend that the District of Sechelt Council recognizes the need for housing and is conditionally supportive, and further, the council's support for these projects is conditioned upon the following conditions being explored and meaningfully met.
Okay, so you're taking out the words supportive on the line, the first line, and complex care. So it's just the need for housing in our community.
Well, there's an allusion to it next with projects as presented and then the conditions, so it doesn't corner us in terms
Mhm.
of housing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Trying to get my mind around that. I'm not sure it moves us forward. 'Cause I mean, it's already zoned for housing, so it's signaling BC Housing, I guess, is your motive. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I'll second it for discussion.
Yeah. Thanks. And so, speaks to my earlier point that, I'm hearing from the community, they'd like to see seniors housing there. And I think that if they don't meet the conditions and they bought the land, that, we could work with them to provide seniors housing. Thanks.
Okay, so I said I would second it for discussion. I don't think we need to be moving this forward, and I think that's absolutely, I agree with the spirit, but I think we can get to it perhaps within the various conditions C to K. So I'm going to call the question. If there's anything else, Councillor Toth, did you want to speak about the amendment?
I do, thank you. I'm also not going to support the amendment. I think if we want to pass motions saying we support housing, we 100% should. But that's not the motion that's in front of us today. My suggestion actually would be that, Councillor Inkster probably leans more towards B in this particular instance, because, one of the things could be, we locate other property to do this, which would make these parcels surplus for supportive housing, which means they could be seniors housing, family housing, whatever. We're already working with BC Housing on a workforce housing project with the District of Sechelt. So, there's a lot of moving parts on the housing spectrum, but tonight we're talking about supportive housing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is defeated. So then we're back to the original motion. Councillor Shepherd, you used the word skeptical, and I agree with you. And I continue to feel that BC Housing expecting us to trust that they're going to do better than they've done so far is they've got a lot of work to prove to us that we can count on them to deliver. And I just don't see how this can work, the density in one area. I've done enough research, as we all have, and I just see that we need to challenge BC Housing on the three criteria that I know they've said about transportation, proximity to services, and somebody help me, there's a third. There's other properties that are closer to medical, for example. There's lots of places that are closer to transit. So I'm not going to support conditionally supportive the motion on before us. Please.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, let's be honest. BC Housing are the only ones that are building housing that the population in many cases requires. There's other projects in Sechelt. Green Court's an example if the community doesn't know of a BC Housing project. If the community wonders if they think that they're all bad. It's just this project doesn't work for me.
Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. In terms of the women's and children housing, I was a little surprised too, but I mean, they're the experts in providing this housing, myself, and BC Housing is building, except for the 2 floors of Sunshine Coast Community Services, they're building that. So they know what we have. They also, as Councillor Inkster pointed out, they do our affordable housing. They provide that incentive and organization. So they're critical to any community that thinks they need any of these services. I was looking in Ontario as to how some of the affordable housing is provided there, and it's funded by the municipalities, okay, through property tax. So I really don't want to go down that route. So in some ways, I feel kind of lucky that we have it. I know this is a challenging location, but I did suggest that they do a urban design study there, and that they actually do CEPTED, and they really give us quality design to with a good, Vancouver firm, to not just plop down a big rectangular modular building like they did with Rain City. That has not worked. But that was supposed to be temporary housing. Unfortunately, it's not temporary. We have a permanent problem here. So we need to find a way to integrate it and do it properly. And hopefully, as they get more facilities, they can perhaps shift people around and help us clear out the congestion, I think, that is so prevalent there, because we do need more housing. They're trying to give us our share. I think they're going around to every community in BC saying, this is your share. If you want it, here it is. And who doesn't have this problem? So I think it behooves us to try and work with them as best we can and serve our public.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah,
I'd like to move to testing the room.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, just one final point, just in reply to Councillor McLaughlin. In terms of BC Housing knowing better, Catherine Leach, the head of Community Services, has actually, the letter that she sent out, I think reflects my position in B. She's saying we have to work with BC Housing, but those facilities should not go there. So, and then they should widen their approach, look at other alternatives. So Catherine Leach has so much invested in what happens in that area. I think it behooves council to be using that as a guideline. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll call a question on this. And this is, the District Seashell recognizes the need for supportive housing and complex care in our community and is conditionally supportive. Full stop, right? Councillor Toth, I'm looking.
Of the BC housing proposals as identified for Ebb Tide Avenue and High Tide Avenue, there's a bit of a formatting error there with the staff with the report.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Everybody clear what we're voting on? All in favor? Opposed? Whoops, so 3 in favor and opposed. 3, the motion's defeated. Okay, council, how do you want to proceed? Councillor Shepherd? I have a feeling.
Yeah, just, should we be going on to the conditions? I guess I'll bounce that off the chair and Councillor Toth.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to test the room for your, what we're calling yours, conditionally opposed.
All right, then I'll move B, option B.
Okay, and that's seconded? Yeah, just. Please.
So we need to come away with something tonight. So I will support this and go through the conditions of, as I said earlier, that are really important to me. So thanks.
Okay. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. And recognizing the 3-3 tie vote defeated A. This is the next best option. And I mean, honestly, this is democracy. The will of council is, not to go with A. So, I will support B because I think it's the next best option versus the alternatives that I did provide at the bottom of page 48. So this one should go ahead unless somebody changes their mind. Thank you.
Okay, if I'm not hearing anybody wanting to add anything, I'll call a question then for, this is essentially 1B. All in favor? Opposed? I'm sorry, Councillor Bell, I didn't see your hand. You were in favor? Thank you. Opposed, Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. Okay, Council, how, in terms of working through this, perhaps Councillor Toth? Yes.
Thank you. I mean, didn't matter whether we went with A or B. This sort of the next batch is, I think, the way we should go. And so I'm going to move to incorporate clause C into council's adopted position.
Just C, or do you?
I think we should take them one at a time through the list so that we don't try and muddy the water, amending half of it and part of it and what have you. So I think if we stay focused on each one, I think we can get through the list actually quite quickly.
Okay, so that's a motion for 1C and seconded, Councillor Inkster. Okay. Discussion. And that the operator be in place. I see, and the operator commence community dialogue. Okay, all right, Council? All in favor? Opposed? I'm sorry, I was in favor. Councillor McLaughlin, you're opposed. Okay, thank you. Keep going, Councillor Toth, if you will.
Thank you. Item D was actually Councillor Shepherd's, so I'm going to defer to him for I think D and E.
Yeah, then D, again, sort of going back to my idea of a moratorium, that they don't progress with their applications until we have this ability to go back to the community, develop a counter proposal, if you will.
Okay, a point of clarification. Do we have the ability to impose a moratorium? We can say we can make the statement, but sorry, Mr. Allen, it just occurred to me.
Thank you. Your worship, not specifically, but it's a point of negotiation and request with them.
Yeah, okay. And Councillor Inkster, thank you. Second, thank you. Okay. Okay, I think that's clear. Everybody clear? All in favor? Opposed? Councillors Toth and McLaughlin are opposed. That was for D.
And E is, again, coming back with a counter proposal to BC Housing, where we cite specifically where the complex care is going to go, where the supportive housing is going to go, and where we will suggest what happens with one or both of the properties that they've already purchased.
Speak to and speak, yes.
Yeah,
please.
thanks. I don't know how long the first two pieces will take, but I know what the community would like on your third piece, so I'll support this. Yeah, because community needs to be part of the discussion. Thanks.
Councillor Toth.
Thank you. And through you to Councillor Shepherd, I would be interested in knowing a little more about how he might see the process unfolding on how the District of Sechelt is to do that consultation with the community. I know that we can fill a room with, we can fill rooms. That's no problem. I just want to make sure that, what we're going to do is meaningful and balanced. And also we don't, like I said originally or earlier, we don't know that BC Housing has resources earmarked to be able to buy more property in Sechelt. And so, we might come back to them and say, you should build it on lot K in Davis Bay. and they'll go, well, that's great, but you need to buy it for us. And now we're on the hook for, $2 million to buy property for BC Housing. So I'm concerned about that. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, through the chair. I'm concerned about it as well, but I know it's better than what they're proposing. So the process I see is that I'm happy asking for a special hearing, and we put it out to the community as soon as possible. This is our challenge. This is we have to develop a counter proposal for BC Housing. It's got to include what's going to happen on the lands that they've bought, and that we have to place the complex care and supportive housing on a plot. We have to be specific where it is. It doesn't have to be within Sechelt. It could be on the Sunshine Coast, but trying to meet their criteria and ask the community through delegations to come back to us and answer those questions. I know that we can do this with the community. I think we can do it within sort of 3 to 6 months and then go back to BC Housing. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councillor Inkster?
I think that, I'm not going to go down the road of daring BC Housing to say no. I think that they have the money to look at other options. The cost of the land versus the cost of construction that they haven't done yet is quite a difference. I think they have the money to look at other pieces of land before they do the construction, which is quite substantially higher than the price of the land. Thanks.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. The construction's the much bigger part, presumably, more than likely. Okay, we had a motion. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yeah, I have problems with these various conditions because I just don't think they're practical or realistic. Like, how are you
Can you talk?
How are
item
you
E?
going to come up with parcels of land
No,
and
Councillor McLaughlin,
places?
we're talking about item E. So you could address your comments to that
Appropriate
one.
locations.
Yes.
How are you going to come up with appropriate locations? Honestly,
Okay, so that's your concern.
yeah.
Okay. We don't have to answer.
No. It's a fair question through the chair. I mean, we know the tests that the chair has already mentioned, proximity to a hospital, on a transportation route. So we know their general criteria. In a perfect world, we'd be finding provincial lands that they don't have to buy. But I just think that we can come up with other options. I mean, Catherine Leach sort of hinted at that in her letter, that there were other appropriate locations. So all I'm asking through E is that we pursue that.
Open-ended.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Toth, thanks.
Thank you. I am fully supportive of the community dialogue component. I think, trying to find alternative locations is going to inadvertently pit neighborhoods and communities against each other. I worry about that component. I know, Catherine Leach mentioned 4 properties in her letter. I think one of them was, way too small to be considered for anything like this. So it sounds good in a newspaper article, but I worry about the practicality. And again, we need to find property that's available or could be available, and somehow that component has to be done basically in camera. You can't publicly say we're going to go buy John's property and put supportive housing on it, because now John's going to want 5 times the value of his property. So there's a lot to unpack in this particular one. I'm kind of on the fence for supporting it or voting against it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll call a question. All in favor of E? Opposed, councillors Toth and McLaughlin opposed. The motion carries. Council, can we Is there any way we can deal with, I guess F is different. I see G, H, I being somewhat similar. They're prescriptive restrictions, but perhaps I'll go to Councillor Toth for F first in the local jurisdictions table.
Thank you. And I know that Mayor Henderson, you had the question about what that might look like. And I think I put it forward as an option to sort of get the Seashell Nation, get the District of Seashell, get BC Housing and VCH at one table together so that we can talk about how to, incorporate First Nations components, healing, support programs. The First Nations just announced that they're going to be building a recovery and wellness center. And, is there opportunity for outreach through those programs? We don't know that yet. I don't want to prescribe anything to this, but I think the more we can get together and talk, the better off we're going to be. So I'm willing to move to incorporate clause F into council's adopted position.
Okay, can I seek some clarification? The phrasing is that BC Housing be requested to convene the local jurisdiction table. Do we need BC Housing?
I mean, I suppose we can do whatever we want and it's up to them to listen or not. I think if BC Housing's not at the table, it's going to be really hard to consider programs in their buildings.
Understood. It's more whether we want to take the lead on convening it and invite BC Housing.
I'm willing to move it as it is, just for the sake of not overly complicating things for the moment. Thanks.
Very good. Seconded. Councillor Inkster seconds. All the question. All in favor? Yep, I'm sorry. Yes, carried. Okay. Anybody want to talk about GH and I? Or Councillor Bell?
A comment around G. I'm not sure 100%, but I don't know whether you can use gender and age as conditions to deny access to supportive housing. I think that's discriminatory under the BC human rights laws. It's something we should check out. Also, current regulations of the BC Human Rights Code, supportive housing complexes in BC are not allowed to restrict individuals from entering for the duration they have been in a municipality. So I think that needs to be checked out as to whether this can actually even be here. So we need some consultation on that or some advice.
I'll come to you. Just observe, do we need the rest of these for tonight? I'll leave that as an open. Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, it's just one of those questions that you would ask. So BC Housing is involved in, as far as I know, the community services building, and they're involved in Green Court. What are the rules for those buildings? And if in fact there are rules about age, et cetera, gender, then obviously then we know that there's restrictions for their housing available.
Point taken. Yep. Councillor Shepherd.
It's to the chair, that's a good point. Could we refer it to staff to come with an answer on whether it's breaching BC Human Rights Code?
So that's in respect of G. Yep. In the interest of moving this along, because I worry we're getting very prescriptive a little bit prematurely. So yes, to the tenor of what you're saying, but maybe we could expand that because there's reference in one of the other parts of this. I guess it's item 2, but Councillor Inkster.
Could I then
me.
make a motion to refer G to staff for further investigation?
Okay. And I was hoping you might say, and H, for example, are there other examples in the province that are designated as dry facilities? Like it's an information, accumulating what's out there rather than us trying to guess what's out there.
So you want me to refer both of those? I mean, we put some
Yeah.
other pieces in place. That has to come back to us for
Mhm.
decision, so I'm
Yep.
okay with that, yeah, UNH.
Counselor Toth?
Thanks. And my whole idea behind doing these individually, I am not supportive of referring H to staff. I think if we want to make that part of our ask, that's up to us. G, Lions housing, the community services housing, like, okay, if we want to refer G to staff for verification under, human rights, that's fair. But I'm in a position now where I can't support G and H. So thanks.
You're not because of H. Because of H.
Because you've grouped G and H together to refer to staff. So
What I
thanks.
was, in H, what I was referencing was asking for whether there are other facilities in the province. It was information rather than a decision. But I guess we have a motion for G and H, but I'm okay to take H out of it. Okay. All right, so we got a motion for G to refer it to staff for further information in respect of age, gender, and so on. Thought it was us. Is that okay?
Yeah. But anyway, sure.
Okay. All right,
I mean, it was just one vote.
so all in favor of G, referring to staff? Okay. Council, I would look, I'm sorry, Councilor McLaughlin opposed. I'm going to suggest we defer H, I, J, and K until our next meeting. I don't, at least, because I don't think we have, we're getting very prescriptive, and I think we're still dealing with things like 2 and 3. But on page 48. So, yes, Councillor Toth, I would like to move to defer.
I'm not going to support that because I think the community expects us to come up with sort of a position, and I think this is part of that position, but that's okay.
So there's a motion from me to defer G, H, I, J, and K. Is there a seconder? Okay. And I'm in your hands, folks. How do you want to handle each? Don't, okay? To H, yes.
Sorry, I can't hear Councillor Inkster.
Okay, so we're back to H. Is that something you'd like to move, Councillor Toth?
I can move it for discussion. Yeah, I'll move it for discussion. Let it be incorporated.
Right, and seconded. Okay, discussion, Councillor Toth. And then Councillor Bell.
Sure. I didn't have my hand up, but I can speak to this. I think if we're exploring other locations on the Sunshine Coast for a facility, I think H is no longer critical. I could certainly see it maybe forming a component if it was downtown or in close proximity to other facilities. But I wouldn't support it if we're building facilities in Roberts Creek, for example.
Councillor Inkster then?
Yeah, thank you. I hear the argument. I'm going to still support it because we're just moving the problem. Thanks.
Councillor Shepherd?
Yeah, I'm going to speak in support of it because I'm I'm fairly convinced that there are completely dry facilities that the BC Housing built in other locations. And I think we should be going back to Kelly Foley and saying, hey, given the statistics that we have on the people that we're trying to house here, can you prove with the data that there should be a facility that's mostly dry? And take that to BC Housing. So I'm support of this.
Okay. Anything else? So we're voting on H. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed, and then I. Is this yours as well, Councillor Toth?
Thank you. Yeah, I think one of the things that we've sort of heard to be part of the problem is a lot of extra protections that are provided through Residential Tenancy Act and a much higher bar to deal with disruptive behaviors. And so I think that I think these programs and these facilities, residential tenancy law oversteps. And so I would move to incorporate clause I into council's adopted position.
Your seconder? Second. Any discussion, Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, through the chair. This one, like a lot of the conditions are, if they don't meet that condition, there'll be no housing. So no supportive housing. So, be careful.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Councillor Toth, your hand is up.
It is. Thank you. I just want to say that, like, I know there are people who are homeless right now, living in the bush, that want nothing to do with supportive housing because they're terrified of other people that are in the building. And I know of one person living in the building who does everything he can to avoid everybody else in the hallways because he doesn't know who he's going to run into. And so, we need to provide safe places for everybody, not just, those who pay taxes.
Okay. So this is, we're voting on I as written. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. We go to J. And, okay, again, I'll look to whoever. Councillor Toth, is this you or?
I think this was me. This came up after Councilor Shepherd and I worked to sort of merge the motion. So I don't know if this is necessarily relevant either. If we're, building the facility in Roberts Creek, it doesn't really matter how it contributes to the housing spectrum in Sechelt. But for the purposes of putting something on the table, I will move that we incorporate this clause into council's adopted position.
Seconded, all right. Any discussion? All in favor then? Opposed? Councilor Toth is sorry. Okay, Councillor Toth is opposed and McLaughlin. Yep. He moved it, but he was opposed.
I did say that I was moving it to put it on the floor for discussion. So, and like I said, I think, rapid fire, we're getting through these pretty quick. So, with regards to item K on the top of page 48, I think there's a lot of people that are either currently unhoused or that are housed in supportive housing that really need additional supports that complex care would provide for them. And I think if we can help get those folks on a better path, I think that will have a measurable impact in our neighborhoods and in the existing facilities. So I would like to move to incorporate clause K into council's adopted position.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Inkster seconds and we'll speak to it, please.
So this is in my mind, one of the most difficult scenarios that as a community we'll end up dealing with. So if it ends up there, we have to make sure that there's treatment in those situations. And as I've said previously, I'm not supportive of how this is, because the community is very uncomfortable with that result. But it's one of those things where you just have to put a lot of pieces in place if we end up there to deal with some of the issues that the community is concerned about. Thanks.
Right, but this is, at this point, this is about us saying we want complex care somewhere first. As opposed to supportive housing somewhere first. So. Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes. What if they want to build both at the same time? They can't. So it's going to take 6 years instead of 3.
Okay, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, just through the chair to reply to that point. No, it doesn't mean, it just means that we, the district, are going to indicate to BC Housing, we prefer to have this facility developed first because of the problems that we're facing. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I'll call a question. All in favor? Oops, you're voting? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. Yeah. All right. Councillor Shepherd or Toth, keep going, please.
Yeah, I'll address number 2. Again, being the skeptic that I am, I'm just not convinced. We've got some great conditions here. I just worry that BC Housing will somehow sort of refer them maybe to the operator and plunge ahead with developing the facilities in the locations that they have already purchased. So what I'm asking council to consider is not to launch any action, just can we get an opinion from our own advisors, given what BC Housing have proposed, is there a legal argument to be made to oppose it? I'm guessing on the face of it that we will probably not be able to do that on the basis of zoning. However, maybe there's a argument to be made on community impact, given the problems that we're already having with the shelter facility, that we can make a legal argument that they should be stopped until certain studies are done. So it's just to prepare to get a position ready. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So legal, but presumably anywhere, any other information we can get. Councillor Inkster?
Yeah. You know, we just need some pieces in place to strengthen our negotiation with BC Housing, and this would be another one, is to have a position. I'm assuming it's a quick position from our lawyers. I was just wondering through you to maybe Councillor Shepherd and or staff that clearly it's zoned a particular piece, which is residential, but I'm wondering about use. That's the one. I'm wondering if there's some sort of lever we have with use. And it's a tough spot to put staff in, but you know, maybe can we answer that? Because to me, it could be use that could be a restrictive piece. Thanks.
Okay, so that's more than just asking our legal advisors for precedents elsewhere. So I think that's a different task. We want to do it. We'll stay with the as typed for now. And if you want to bring that up. Okay, did I get a motion on 2?
No, I have a question.
Yep, and,
Oh.
but you.
I'm
moved it.
proposing 2.
Okay. Is there a seconder? Okay, very good. Councillor Bell?
So my concern about this is it might be premature at this point. My only concern is cost. The cost of legal can be significant. And I don't know how much work this is going to be from a legal perspective. And I would like to at least ask for a preliminary cost on what something like this would involve, like staff to provide.
Okay.
this will be a taxpayer. The Taxpayers will pay for this, so I just want to bring that to the attention. We know the cost of legal fees, and it may be premature at this point. So I want that from staff. Preliminary costs.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the opinion of our lawyers will be that expensive to just give us an idea of where we could go. And it may be use. But discussing legal is an interesting thing because, I mean, the community could be going a legal direction if we don't move in the right direction. So there's all kinds of legal pieces here. So I think we just need this opinion thing.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion in front of us, so I'll call the question as written. All in favor? Okay, I'm opposed. The motion's defeated. Okay, we can go to item 3. And this one I think is a very good one at this point in time that Councillor Shepherd.
Oh, I think this is Councillor Toth.
Oh, his hand's up. I guess it is.
Thank you. I think this speaks for itself. Honestly, the shelter looks like a dump. And I don't think it would be very expensive for BC Housing to make some of these fixes. And I think that could go a long way towards both community integration, as well as honestly a little bit of, mental health support / pride for the people who are currently in a position where they're having to stay there. I mean, nobody really likes living in a place with broken windows and things like that. So I think it speaks for itself, and I will move it as written.
Lots of seconders, okay. Okay, so this one is targeted at the shelter. And so is the next one sort of targeted at the supportive housing? That's intentional, Councillor Toth?
That's correct, which is why they're not additional clauses under 1. These are sort of other tangentially related items, right? The first one's shelter, the second one's supportive housing, and the third one is the OPS.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Councillor Inkster? Please.
Thank you. This is to consider 6 years of lessons learned.
No, we're on 3.
We're on 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought we did 3 though. We did 3 broken fences. Oh, we haven't voted. Okay. I thought we had.
Okay, I'll call the question. I think all in favor? Carried. Item 4. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this one, when BC Housing brought the first supportive housing complex to town, I think they were still fairly new in the developing supportive housing in, more rural areas. They'd done projects in, Vancouver and Kelowna and Victoria, but I think that a lot has been learned over the last 6 years. BC Housing's own CPTED principles document, I think, is adopted in late 2019. So after this building was built, the supportive housing was opened. And so I think it would be prudent to ask if there were facility improvements and site and security improvements that BC Housing could integrate with the existing facility, having learned in other communities. Thank you.
The seconder, now, Councillor Inkster.
Thanks.
Please, you can speak about item 4.
Yes, I'll do it again. So this is 6 years of lessons learned and improved practices. This is sort of an analysis and a review of what they've done and what hasn't worked. And I'll support this because what I've asked and what I think we should consider is a review of what's been happening there.
You're in favor.
So I'm in favor, but I think that's the start
Right.
of that we should be reviewing what's happened in that whole situation over the last number of years. We should ask for that as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. And last one, Counselor Toth. Item 5.
Item 5, I put here because I think, we need to have a conversation as a council about it. This is related to the OPS, the overdose prevention site. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of, requests from community. I know Catherine Leach, spoke to us about it, relocating the OPS somewhere else. I worry about the logistics of it, but I don't think it hurts for us to ask. And I think, maybe that's part of the conversation that gets rolled up with item 1. Or maybe it's a separate conversation that we have. But I think it behooves us to ask on behalf of our community and the people in that area. So I will move that. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a second. To speak to it, Counselor Inkster, or?
No, it's a good idea.
Thank you. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was just talking to somebody who was telling me, we both came from Calgary, about how they used to have it at the hospitals in Calgary, but they moved it away because people in hospitals are already stressed. They don't really want to be around that kind of situation. So I think if we don't want to put in the hospital, near the hospital, I don't know what other neighborhood might like to have it. I don't recall anybody coming forward. So I have, issues with trying to presume we know better where to locate these things than they do. But I
Okay,
mean,
thank
it
you.
doesn't hurt to ask, I guess, but I really don't think too much will come of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Toth.
Thank you. And I totally understand Councilor McLaughlin's point. Like I said, we don't know that this could gain any traction at all, but it could also be one of those things where if we don't ask, we'll never know. And I know, we hear from the community in that neighborhood. We hear from property owners in that neighborhood who are being affected by some of the issues around a inadequately supervised OPS. And I think, this we got to try something. We just have to try something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not in favor. I think this is worth a lot more discussion. So for tonight, I'm not in favor. Anything else? I'll call a question. All in favor? I'm opposed. Motion carries. Council, anything else you want to add to this topic? It will be before us for a long time, I'm sure. I guess I'd make one observation. I don't think we warrant a resolution at this point, but all of this is going to require workers and they're going to need places to live. So discussions of if it was to go somewhere else, those properties would be ideal for workforce housing. So hopefully we'd get somebody to do that.
If I may.
Please, sorry, yes.
That's okay. I wasn't going to let you move on without jumping in, so here I am. I didn't think about it until tonight while we were working our way through the list. And I'm sure that staff are already working on it, but I wonder if we should also make an additional motion to have staff prepare this as a communications document that council can share and have available.
You thinking of something more than our traditional resolution extract?
I suppose it could be a release. I know this is a hot topic in the community, and I know that, because we've adopted this as a council, this is the council direction. So I think making sure that we've got it in a succinct format of what we've adopted today, and that we've got something that either we posted on our website or Facebook or what have you. I think it warrants publishing so that the community knows what we've done tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing. I'm wondering if you had something beyond the extract, the actual typed up resolutions? Are you looking for, I don't know, glossy brochure or,
No, I think, the resolution probably would be enough at this time. Through you, I look to, anybody representing communication staff, with us tonight, if they would feel that there's anything more that would be warranted. But I think it's just important that we get it out there before, we're adopting minutes at the next meeting. Thank you.
okay? Counselor Shepherd,
Perhaps we could just ask Director Roberts about that, how to release.
please.
Thank you for the question. We are already drafting a memo for release, and it wasn't necessarily going to be public, but for council consumption. So we will connect with our communications manager to make sure that goes public based on the motion tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see it ahead of that. Okay. Please.
I was just gonna ask, if we're finished this topic, could I make a motion for a 3-minute recess?
I think that's a fine idea.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll recess for 3 minutes.
I will get Councillor Rowe back.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Welcome back, Councillor Rowe. We've just entered into a 3-minute recess.
Okay, thanks.
It is. It is. It's become that way. It's become, like, look at the people that are here, like, the whites are in the back. The Moors and their friends are here, from way up the street there. Those people, what are they doing?
Democracy.
Well, you just have to talk to Adam. Is he really a seasoned politician? It takes you a while to get on. Yeah.
But I'm glad we had no slides to think that. To me, basically. Said, no, I don't. Sure. That means, and you put that condition in exactly what I said, they call it. It's exactly what I said, it's going to comply and make sure it is not. So that's fine. So we were back into that corner. Oh, really? That's really work. And I don't know if there's any other way of pointing out, but that's where the court came right there. And that's what I don't know. I don't know. Political, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? I think this is an interesting discussion, just generally about how politics work.
So where are you in terms of the overall result, and are you okay with it?
With the result of, if it.
What we did just now? And where do you think Alton?
I think Alton he switched, I mean, he said, this is, that's why, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
I mean, if this gets us moving, it's not gonna change the outcome. It only changes that one stated or what we stated clearly.
Just so you guys know, somebody has a live mic in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Can we, folks, council? Council. Hey. Counselor Shepherd, Counselor Shepherd, Counselor McLaughlin. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Counselor Shepherd, can we get started, please? Yeah, well, if you're ready, that's all that matters. Oh, what do we do? Yeah, nope, I know. Okay, thank you, folks. We'll reconvene at 9:11. We're missing Counselor McLaughlin, but hopefully she can catch up. We'll go to item 5.5, which is the Sunshine Coast Drag Racing Association and some dates. Council, is there any concerns? Any comments? Counselor Shepherd.
Yeah, my only concern with the dates is that it doesn't conflict with I think there's 2 fly-in events that the sort of Pilot Association, Elphinstone, sponsor at the airport, which are really popular. So as long as there isn't a conflict with those.
Okay.
Have the dates been passed by Greg Capel?
That's a good question. Whoops.
They have not. They,
Okay.
the rest is, the request has come into staff and
Yeah,
these are very similar dates to what they've had in the past, so it's not as
Yeah.
if it's a new weekend or they're pretty consistent.
yeah. Yeah, I think that was my reaction. I think the fly-in is in late July, the one that I remember, but, okay. So we need a motion. For the dates?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
second? I'll second, okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Now you guys can leave again. Um, okay, we then go to the, you don't look like Mr. Baker. To page 51 and the DVP for 4315 Sunshine Coast Highway. And we have Mr. Hall here representing Mr. Baker, I guess.
Yeah,
Please.
so basically this variance is pretty straightforward. They're just trying to build a house on the property and requesting to increase the lot coverage. The thing to keep in mind here that this is a smaller landlocked property that's connected to a larger property. And both of these properties in this general area have this rural zoning that was put on them as part of bylaw 580. Part of the rationale for that was that there a number of properties in this area, including the small one and the larger one that are part of a special planning area in the OCP that kind of envisions some kind of like, at least back in 2011, envisioned some kind of future regional sort of commercial tourist possibility in this area, waterfront development, public access, a bunch of other things. So the zoning was kept relatively low just to allow a house, basic residential uses.
Right.
So the effect of that is that this RU2 zone has a really low lot coverage, partly because the RU2 zone typically is applied to much larger properties. So for the current owners, they're just wanting to build a house and they want to build a larger house than the 5% lot coverage would allow them. So they're seeking the variance. Initially, they were seeking a larger variance, but we've worked with them to revise it to a level that staff can support. So that's the increase from 5% to 10% to allow the larger house.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Any questions, council? Yes, please.
Could I, this is weird. Could I ask you through to staff, what would be what's other, if this was a regular piece of land, how big could the house be?
I guess if this was a zone differently, if it was in, say, the R1 or R2 zones, the more typical lot coverage is around 35%. So because this is a rural zone, the RU zones, the 1 and 2 have a much lower lot coverage. Generally because they've applied to much larger properties, so.
Okay.
It's a question of, the percentage seems really low, but I
If
guess
it
the
was a
effect
big-
is we're trying to allow a little bit of a larger house.
Okay, thanks. Anything, council? Councilor Shepherd.
We don't see a sort of proposed location unless I'm missing it. Do you anticipate any kind of objections from the neighboring landowners or? Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, the property owners are different, but they're related, so we don't anticipate any objections. There's still a development permit application that is required for the property. I mean, it's subject to development permit areas 2 and 3, so riparian areas, flood hazards, and marine foreshore. So there's still some work they need to do to prove out a particular site, but it's a relatively small property. There's not a lot.
Okay.
of
But
location.
that's how access will be
Yeah, so
provided as
they
well?
still need to secure, like they
easement.
have, there's an existing driveway that serves the larger property. A part of the development permit requirement would be the need to, for them to secure an actual legal easement, because currently there's no technically legal easement, like, but the ownership is shared, so that they're obviously allowing access through their property, but the DP would require an easement be registered to secure that legal access.
Great. Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. Can you describe the elevation and the closeness to the ocean?
To me, please, Councillor
Yeah.
McLaughlin. Please.
Well, I'm going to look at them. You look at them, so I'll look at them too.
No.
Yeah, because,
No.
this is, I think the issue is that the site is, close to the water. Subdivided probably from a relative. Now they want to build a house on it.
So you're looking for elevation?
Yeah. In terms of thinking about sea rise, thinking about,
Okay, well,
Should
that's
we-
not in front of us tonight.
oh,
Right.
the elevation isn't in front of
No,
us in the
no,
construction?
it's whether or not we talk about lot coverage, whether we support the increase in lot coverage.
Well, it's about the project.
No. DVP, the recommendation, which I need to get a motion for. Is that a motion? Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a.
Yep. Okay, and is there a seconder? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Please.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. It's just weird to me if you just look around it and similar land is across the street to the left. And it's got like farmland like it, and it's just larger dwellings. So maybe there's a restrictive covenant on that land. It just, I don't know. I guess I gotta talk to planning staff offline about this because it's very confusing to me. Thanks. But I'm support.
Okay,
Yeah.
Councillor Toff?
Thank you. I had a hard time wrapping my head around this one when I was reading the agenda, because I having a hard time fathoming a property that doesn't actually have a driveway leading to a road, except, through hopefully a easement granted by the larger parcel owner. But for Councillor McLaughlin's question, on page 56, it shows all the elevations on the contours for the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll I'll call the question, which is to approve the DVP 2025-06 to increase the lot coverage from 5 to 10%. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. Okay. So, then council, we go to page 64, which is for the DVP kitty corner to us. DVP 2025-10, that it be approved. This has been before us in the past. There's some minor changes, I guess, is fair, Mr. Hall?
Yeah, and previously, council would have seen the Advisory Planning Commission minutes where they reviewed and commented on the application. So the APC members had passed a number of recommendations. The applicant has done some work to revise their plans to address those comments. So that's forms part of the permit that is prepared for you. So the development permit meets the objectives and guidelines of Development Permit Area 6, and the applicants have updated their plans to reflect changes coming from the APC recommendations. So it's ready to be approved.
Councillor Bell?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Seconded. Okay, any discussion? Councillor McLaughlin?
Yeah, I still have concerns about this meandering sidewalk situation. I don't know if the accessibility folks have thought about this, but there's a meandering sidewalk there now because it's a dirt path and people are walking around the trees, et cetera. There's nothing more charming than that. So I don't know why we would approve something like this in a case, considering that Ocean Avenue is really quite a significant street these days. It connects this building all the way down to Hackett Park. I think it's important that we actually think about maybe a much better road sidewalk standard and planning there. So them going ahead with this sidewalk idea, I don't really support.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Toth?
Thank you. And I think I'm seeking some clarity from staff because I'm looking at page 76 and the drawing doesn't show a meandering sidewalk. It shows the sidewalk moving over and it looks like preserving the trees. I know the meandering sidewalk was a previous conversation, so I'm wondering, it looks like it's changed, and I just look through you to staff for confirmation as to what the sidewalk plan is.
Thanks, Mr. Hall.
Yeah, certainly, this is something that engineering worked through to review, and as noted in the report, the original proposal for meandering pathway has been replaced by a standard sidewalk that will meet engineering specifications, and working to keep the street trees in place. So there is, yeah, the original proposal was for meandering path, but it'll just be a standard sidewalk now.
Okay, great, thank you. And thank you, Councillor Toth, for that. Okay, anything else, folks, on this? Did I get a motion? Yep, I did, right. Okay, you voting, Councillor Rowe, or you look, okay, all in favor? Carried. Great. Okay, we then go to page 96. And this is my notice of motion regarding the communication policy. And council, I think it's self-explanatory with the preamble. And I would move it as presented, page 96. Second? All right, thank you. Please.
Through the chair, I'm in support of opening up communication for all of council to, our executive assistant certainly to sort of help speed along things. But I'm wondering if this notice of motion should be referred to staff so that we could gather comments that, I believe we have comments coming in from the provincial advisor and from our legal advisor, I believe. I wonder if we could go through that process, get their comments, and then bring it back. But in the meantime, I'm certainly supportive of opening it up to have more free flow communication with council's executive assistant and corporate officer. Thanks.
Okay. Other comments, Councillor Rowe?
Yes, thank you. I'm actually not in support of that. We're 1 week away from the holidays. We're in the middle of a provincial review with our municipal advisor. He's coming back in January. I don't see the utility of us making changes. At this point, we know that communication is going to be, reviewing that as part of what he's doing, and there's been a lot of discussion around the policy within that work, so I won't be supporting this. I don't see putting extra work on something we're just gonna have to turn around and do more work in. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shepherd?
Through the chair, then if I could direct a question to Councillor Rowe. So if you're not opposed to, or if you're opposing the motion, then what is going to happen? I think the result is things stay as they are, or what's happening here then? Thanks.
I don't see the harm in things staying as they are, because we are nearing the end of Mr. Poole's review. He's got one more visit in January. So I don't see the harm in that. I know that you as acting mayor are going away in January, and I think we should appoint somebody to take your place during that time. But I would say leave as is.
Please.
Sorry, so leave as is for another month?
Leave as is until the municipal advisor has finished his work and made recommendations.
Okay, anything else? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Okay, the 6 opposed. Councillor Shepherd.
Through the chair, could I propose another motion that we nominate Councillor Inkster as deputy mayor? Seeing as, yes, I am going to be away and it's going to be impossible to run this while I'm away. So we'll need someone to step in. Thanks. Correct.
Is there a seconder? Yeah, lots of hands for that. Okay, and you're okay to take that on? All that is involves?
I'm next up.
Well, yeah, it's an answer to a different question, but okay. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I guess just to clarify, is it only for the duration of time that Councillor Shepherd's away? Or is Councillor Inkster stepping up and Councillor Shepherd is stepping away from that role? Thanks.
Motion is that you become the deputy mayor from effective December 28th.
Yeah, till
I didn't
February
hear,
1st?
I didn't hear anything
Yeah.
beyond that.
till February 1st is fine, yeah.
Okay, we've been,
Yeah.
all right, that's the motion, so, okay, all in favor? Carried. He voted. Okay, council item 7.1, the minutes on page 99. Anything? Not a motion to adopt? Counselor Bell, second. Anybody in? Thank you. Okay, all in favor of adoption? Carried. December 10th, meeting on page 107. Moved, thank you. Second. Done. Okay, all in favor? Carried. And 110. Page 110 for the meeting of Committee of the Whole meeting. Counselor Shepherd, you were chair. Thank you. Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Okay, matters, and that was also for endorsement of 2 and 5. You're okay with that? Yeah. Okay, matters arising. There were a couple of things that I had. So page 101, I'd like to clarify what is the status of the letter to regarding childcare. I'm wondering in whose court is that to get that done? Down near the bottom. Please, Ms. Paulson.
I believe our executive assistant is coordinating the construction of the letter, and there was also direction to engage with the other Sunshine Coast local governments, so that's just in progress now.
Right. Okay, so presumably not until after Christmas?
I can't say. It depends on the response time from the town of Gibsons and the Shoshone Nation.
Yes. Okay. We lost another one, the childcare employee. Okay, and then on page 102, there was a letter, councils to invite the appropriate provincial ministers. I'm wondering, same question, if our executive assistant is dealing with that or if somebody else is? Sorry, bottom of 102. Creates any. No. So, but that's with you. For somebody to. Okay, and page 104 counts sorry. There was a letter to be sent regarding the BC Marine Strategy. Yes, yes, yes. In the new year. Okay? No. Sorry, by the end of, you'll do that by the end of January. Okay, and last, on 114, can I get some clarity on the motion that was passed, recommendation 5 on page 114? When we use words like consider engaging in a workshop, are we actually doing page 114, recommendation 5? I'm looking for the clarity on the motion. Are we? Well, so the motion says we'll consider it, so. Okay. Okay. And so it's to build a community safety plan that will be for a period of 10 months. Yes, please. I want to make sure we're. Sorry for the chair. Just to understand from Councillor Bell, is the workshop is to develop a community safety plan for like a 5-year period, huh? Is that true, or is it just for a short period?
Sorry, can't hear.
Sorry, sorry, guys. We can change that from 10 months. We can look at 3 years, we can look at 5 years. I mean, I'm not stuck on 10 months. I just changed that just based on that conversation that night. So I'm open.
Okay, so you're gonna have,
10 plus?
well, no, that's, but okay. So as long as that's not, we're not dropping the ball on that.
Okay.
So that is with you and presumably.
Yeah.
Ms. Roberts?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, well, please.
I think it'd be helpful to start with an outline, at least short term, just so you don't get overwhelmed with everything, because it's a long story around here, isn't it? So I would start with just an outline, maybe bring that to council, and then it might help get things more direct.
Okay, thank you, council. So we then go to SCRD reports, and given the hour, folks, and beg your indulgence to be brief, everybody.
I am happy to be brief. The only thing I have to report out on the SCRD at the moment is that we took the council's direction. We took that back to the board, and I pulled the recommendation for some discussion and to change it to the way that we sort of supported. And it was a decision was made to refer that recommendation to an upcoming budget intergovernmental meeting that's going to be scheduled, I think, near the end of January. January 29th is what sticks in my head, but that might not be right. And so it'll be an opportunity for all of the governments to discuss it face to face at one table. So that's pretty much all I have to report for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, just budget, right? And continuation of, and just a couple of things from the board meeting. Universal metering, phase 3 large meter installation award, because the saga continues. Had to be adjusted a little bit. And curbside food waste collection service contract amendment, which is for other areas, but this gives us an idea of other areas are doing what we're doing. And those are the awards that were given from the board of interest, I think, to this council, those two pieces, green boxes and the water. And that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Be linear. Councillor McLaughlin, come down here, go to Zoom land. Oh, council report, Councillor.
It'll be brief, not much to report. I do a lot of reading and homework and try and come up with ideas to bring here regardless. But I did make a little trip up the staircase there to the tower, which is open, which was nice to do. It's totally open. Could use a little cleaning, but other than that, I'm happy to say it is there. I know Donna loves the tower, so maybe she'll, not really, but maybe try it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shepherd. There was a community safety task force meeting last week. We tackled a master list of options that the task force was looking at, got about halfway through, and then had a delegation come to that did a sort of preliminary audit of our bylaws and bylaw practices. And I think there's some valuable information that would like to talk internally with staff about what's realistic to get going, but it was interesting information. That's it for me. Thanks. Great. Thank you. Councillor Inkster.
Nothing.
Nothing. All right.
Till the new
Okay.
year. I'll just leave it at that.
Counselor
Long
Bell?
night.
Oh, so this is the last council meeting. I want to end on a personal note. 2025 has been an extremely difficult year for me. Both my physical and my mental health have been very poor. And there have been many times when I just wanted to withdraw and give up. But I'm here today because of my friends, family, my council team, and the amazing District of Sechelt staff team. And I want to thank you all for being there for me and helping me find a way forward. And I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas.
Great. Thank you. Okay, Counselor Toff.
Thank you. Nothing really worth reporting out other than happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all of those who follow our work and to everybody who works at the District of Sechelt. Thank you for everything you've done for us this year.
And Counselor Rowe.
What he said. That's it. Gonna
Okay.
pass tonight. Happy holidays, everyone.
Then for me, I'll just say congrats and thanks to everybody that organized December 6th for the lights, the festival of lights, and even the Rotary dinner that I went to later. And great fun at the District Sechelt Christmas party on the 12th. And it's been a busy day today, including 2 more businesses unfortunately being hit with tagging and vagrants. But I will also echo that. Let's, well, I'll say this at the end, but let's have a good break. But before that, we get to go to page 115. And talk about the school district is looking for representation on the remuneration committee. I note they want to include Capilano University, which I suggest is probably unnecessary. But is there anybody who's willing to volunteer? If not, I'll take it on. Don't all rush at once. Okay, I think they were looking for, I guess they, yeah. I don't know that they actually need an official appointment. I'm not seeing any other volunteers, so I'll take it as given that I'm gonna do it. Page 117.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Sorry.
Just to
We
be
should?
in keeping with protocol, we should have a vote just to
Okay.
confirm that it is council's.
You're right. Okay, all in, move seconded, all in favor? Well, you could have voted against it. Okay. And page 117, this is the Wave Prize grant application. How does council wish to proceed? This was on our agenda a couple of weeks ago. Please, Councillor Bell.
For clarification, they're asking for a letter of support from the District of Sechelt, is that correct?
They're looking for, well, they're offering, I think they're offering to do the application. But I think they want, unless we want to do it.
For the application.
Councillor Toth, sorry, I didn't see your.
No, that's okay. I only just put my hand up. I know that the town of Gibsons has applied for this. There is a component to it that requires matching funds from the municipality. And I think Gibsons was taught, I want to say that Gibsons was looking at $750,000 in matching funds that they would have to put up if they were awarded this project. I'm really curious about how it would work along Trail Bay, given how steep those slopes are and how deep that water gets real fast. I would almost see this being more appropriate on the inlet side, other than you know, I wouldn't suggest anybody go swimming in Seashell Inlet these days. So I don't know that this is necessarily a good opportunity for us, but those are just the thoughts that I wanted to share with council. Thanks.
You remind me two things. It's 20% contribution by, 80% comes from the donors. We have to find 20% from somewhere. And the other thing, they've extended the deadline to January 30th was Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of this because we're looking for sometime or some vehicle for raising funds to improve waterfront. So, but I wasn't aware of the sort of 20%, 80% split. So I'm generally supportive of it, but I'd like to know how much money is being applied. So to determine what our 20% share would be. Thanks.
Okay, what I do, because I read about it, this, I guess Councillor Toth did, they've gone in, I believe, with an application acknowledging they don't actually know where they'll get their 20%. Please.
So I just looked at the information provided. It's is it 20% of 3 million minimum?
No, yes.
Yeah, so that means two to three, that's 600,000, right? And it has to come in cash from us then, because we would be the funders. There's not some clarity. I remember the last, I like these, but it puts us under a burden if they're awarded, because then there's an expectation that we come up with $600,000 fairly soon after. I know the last application they made that they were unsuccessful on, we were also requesting staff to come up with much less. So I like these, but to improve our waterfront, but I mean, we'd have to find the $600,000, so it's a difficult one.
Okay, I noticed there's apparently the SDBA, the Rotary, Sunshine Coast Tourism, and the Chamber, yes, are direct asking staff to apply. I read somewhere else that they were prepared to do it. Okay, Councillor.
Yeah, through the chair. I just have reservations about this, in terms of sea rise. I'm thinking of White Rock, like, you know, I don't know if I'd want to risk, getting washed away. And also, I mean, there is a kind of a prototype in North Van, and they don't really have nice waterfront access there at all. Whereas, you know, we have nice access, I think, at Davis Bay and oceanfront there at the boulevard. So it's not like we don't have anything. Whereas in North Van, it's industrial. So I think that's quite different. Also, I looked at the North Van application, some of the requirements, and you don't want a sewage outfall anywhere near this. That's one thing. They had a whole study to show it was far away, but I don't think we could say the same for Seashell. So I don't think much research really has been done into this, and that it's really worth pursuing at this time. But maybe we could just sit back and see if Gibson's by chance gets it, or at least see what it's like in North Van when it gets built, to test it out, because that is a big commitment. And for what we do have, actually, what people want to come for here is nature, and we have a beautiful ocean front, so I can't really see why adding this would help. And also, it's a summertime luxurious thing to do, but we are trying to do the shoulder season and not the summertime when we have issues with ferries and accommodations and lots of things, so.
Okay. You remind me of something I didn't announce. The Lions Club Polar Bear Swim is on January 1st. So apparently you do swim in the ocean in January. No. Okay, so council, you don't want to, the request is to budget for and direct staff to apply. So we're not ready, reading the room, we're not ready to do that. I think we can go back to them and say that, and if the rest of the group wants to do it, you know, I don't know that the funding has to come from the municipality, but I'd like to pursue any, like, see if there's any merit in this. I don't worry about the ocean outfall. Our outfall is a heck of a lot cleaner than the ocean probably. So anyways, I will leave it at that. I think the record, the absence of a motion, we will leave it. Okay, anything else, folks? Motion to adjourn? All in favor at 9:50. We are adjourned. Questions? So anybody, any questions?